Welcome. You've shared a really fascinating collection of info here, all focused on the upcoming Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, F1 2025.
Yeah, it's quite a mix.
We've got some deep analysis looking at the Imola circuit itself, the history, the track details.
hmm
And then there's this breaking news report from F1 blogs covering the latest on car upgrades, team strategies, some pretty big stuff in there.
Absolutely. Crucial updates.
So our mission, really, in this deep dive is to pull out the most important bits from you, give you a clear picture of what to expect this weekend without getting completely bogged down in every single detail.
Exactly. It's that blend, isn't it? The history of the place and the cutting-edge tech battles happening right now. That's what makes this race weekend so compelling.
Okay, so let's dive in. First off, the history of Imola. The analysis reminds us, for a lot of fans, this place is the San Marino Grand Prix, right?
Deep associations there.
It's just etched in F1 history. You think of Senna, his incredible 8 poles here, his last one being, well, that tragic 94 weekend.
A very poignant connection.
And Schumacher, too, 7 wins at Imola. It just has this weight to it, even with its very long official name now.
The Formula One AWS Gran Premio del Made in Italy, della Emilia Romagna 2025. Yeah, quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
What's interesting, as the analysis points out, is how the track's character has kind of endured, despite changes. It first hosted a GP back in 1980. It's the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari.
Right.
And it's always been demanding, almost 5 kilometers that really test drivers. You see mistakes there you don't often see elsewhere.
Yeah, I remember last year, Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc, quite a few went off.
Exactly. It just underlines that need for incredible car control, total precision.
Yeah.
And that's going to be vital this year, especially if it's as close as predicted. Errors could be, well, very costly.
Totally. And it's not just the history. The layout itself is key. Tamburello, Villeneuve, Tosa, Acminerali, Variante Alta. I mean, these corners are legendary.
Instantly recognizable.
The analysis points to Tamburello, turns 2 and 3, as probably the main overtaking spot, especially leading onto that single DRS zone.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got cars hitting, over 330 kilometers, then braking hard down to maybe 170, 190.
Wow.
It takes pinpoint accuracy and, a good amount of bravery.
Okay, so accuracy, bravery, and tires. The strategy this year sounds like it could be fascinating.
It really could. Last year was mostly a one-stop, wasn't it? Mediums and hards.
Yeah, pretty standard.
But Pirelli's throwing in their brand new C6 compound this time, their softest tire.
The C6. Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, Pirelli's Mario Isola suggested it might be mainly for qualifying, to max out and grip on the smooth surface there.
Right, 1 lap pace.
But the analysis we looked at raises the possibility. Could this push teams towards a 2-stop? Maybe using the medium and this new C6.
Interesting, because the C6 will offer more grip, like you said, for qualifying.
Exactly. Huge grip potential for 1 lap. But the flip side is higher degradation in the race. It's softer.
So it might wear out too quickly for a 1-stop.
It could, which might force some teams to gamble on a 2-stop if they think they can make those softer tires work or manage them effectively. It adds a whole new strategic layer.
Okay, that potential for more aggressive strategy brings us neatly to the car upgrades. And this is where that F1 blogs report comes in with, well, it sounds like a bit of a bombshell.
It really is. Quite significant news.
They're saying Red Bull has turned up at Imola with a major upgrade package, redesigned side pods, wider inlet at the bottom.
Yeah, and the key detail, it looks strikingly similar to McLaren's recent design.
Seriously, like a direct copy.
Well, copy is strong, but the report mentions the visual similarity is obvious. Even new floor parts arriving late from the UK. It really suggests a big shift in their aero thinking.
Wow, so it seems like a reaction to McLaren's recent speed.
It certainly looks that way. A direct response to McLaren's performance gains.
But is that a risk? Changing philosophy mid-season like that, does it suggest they found a fundamental weakness?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Red Bull, known for their design path, now drawing inspiration so clearly from a rival.
Yeah.
The F1 blogs report really highlights how different the RB21 looks now, the shape of those side pods. It's not just a tweak. Red Bull usually favored that downwashing ramp, pushing air down.
Right, I remember that.
The shift, more undercut, wider inlet, it suggests they see big benefits in the McLaren concept now, maybe trying to close a gap they perceive.
Okay, so Red Bull are making big waves. What about the others? The initial analysis we saw kind of suggested McLaren might keep their edge, then Ferrari, then Red Bull. But this news changes things.
It potentially does. And F1 Blogs also says McLaren and Mercedes have brought upgrades too. It's nonstop.
Right. What are they bringing?
McLaren reportedly has a revised floor, some suspension changes, updated brake ducts. Pretty comprehensive.
Okay. And Mercedes?
Mercedes revised aero appendages, but interestingly, F1 blogs note they're specifically evaluating these for potential future flexibility rules from the FIA.
Ah, so they're testing things out, preparing for rule changes down the line. What sort of flexibility are we talking about?
It suggests they're anticipating something from the FIA, yeah, using this as a test bed. It just shows how intense this development race is, everyone pushing. Mercedes clearly see these changes as vital prep work.
Now, interestingly, Ferrari and Williams seem to be on a different path for Imola.
Yeah, that's another angle.
The pre-race analysis suggested Ferrari might bring a big package, but now it sounds like maybe not. More like fine-tuning for this race.
It seems that way. The word is the bigger updates might come later. Maybe Barcelona could be strategic, waiting for a bigger bang for their buck, perhaps.
And Williams. F1 Blogs confirms no upgrades for them at Imola at all.
Correct. They're putting resources into the 2026 car, a long-term play. Carlos Sainz even acknowledged publicly it's a bit of a short-term risk.
So you've got this real split, haven't you? Some teams pushing hard now, others looking further ahead.
Exactly. It really highlights those resource challenges under the cost cap. You can't do everything at once. Williams' choice is stark, but maybe necessary for them. Ferrari delaying could also be calculated.
Okay, let's try and pull these threads together then. The initial picture was maybe a tight battle, Ferrari challenging Red Bull. But this F1 Blogs news about Red Bull's huge McLaren-style upgrade, that could totally shake things up this weekend, couldn't it?
Potentially, yes. And you've also got Aston Martin bringing a new floor and revised bodywork, though only on one car initially, Andy Cowell confirmed.
Right, splitting the difference.
And Haas. They're hoping for a big step with upgrades aimed at their bouncing issues, especially in the high-speed stuff. So much going on.
It really is dynamic, but the big question, I suppose, is will Red Bull's dramatic change work straight out of the box?
Exactly. Just because you adopt the design concept doesn't mean it integrates perfectly or gives the same results immediately.
Yeah, it needs to work with the rest of their car.
Precisely. How does it affect balance, handling? We'll be watching them like hawks in practice and qualifying, that's for sure.
Okay, so let's recap this deep dive then. It's clear we've got a really fascinating weekend coming up at Imola. We've touched on the history, the track demands.
The strategic complexities with the layout, and especially those tire choices now.
And the huge story, the car upgrades. Red Bull's big shift, reported by F1 Blogs, apparently taking inspiration from McLaren.
While McLaren and Mercedes bring their own updates too. And then Ferrari and Williams taking different approaches for this race.
Plus that new C6 tire from Pirelli adding another layer of unpredictability. Though, thankfully, the weather forecast looks okay now.
It seems to be improving, yeah. But watching how those upgrades perform qualifying versus race pace, that'll be key.
And the strategy calls around those softer tires. That could decide it all.
Absolutely. Tire management will be critical.
And what's really interesting, as F1 Blogs suggested, is that potential dynamic shift. Red Bull reacting to McLaren. That could signal a real change in the F1 2025 pecking order.
It could indeed. And you hear comments like from ADRIAN about Aston Martin's future. It just gives that broader context, doesn't it? The challenges teams face looking towards 2026 as well.
So hopefully this deep dive has given you a solid handle on the main stories heading into the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix.
Formula One never stands still, does it? This weekend at Imola feels like it could be a pretty significant chapter in the 2025 season.
What will these upgrades actually deliver on track? Will Red Bull's gamble pay off? Those are the big questions, I think.
Definitely the ones to ponder as the cars hit that historic circuit. Thanks for sharing these sources. It's been a great discussion. And we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights.